Canada, often seen as America's polite, dependable neighbor, has always prided itself on maintaining friendly relations and open borders with the United States. For decades, the two countries have shared not just geography, but also deep economic ties and a spirit of cooperation that's the envy of the world. But now, in a move that's turning heads on both sides of the border, Canada just made a bold move that's shaking up the status quo. In early 2025, British Columbia announced plans to charge tolls on American commercial trucks using its highways to reach Alaska. This new rule targets the thousands of trucks that rely on Canadian roads every year to keep Alaska supplied. This isn't just about collecting extra revenue, it's a direct response to years of trade disputes, mounting U.S. tariffs, and what many Canadians see as unfair treatment from their southern neighbor. For Canadians, it's a sign their government is finally pushing back, standing up for national interests and showing they won't be taken for granted anymore. For Americans, especially Alaskans who depend on these routes for everything from groceries to fuel, it's a sudden and unwelcome complication to a vital supply line. The plan is designed as a countermeasure, ready to activate if the U.S. imposes new trade barriers or increases tariffs yet again. Alaska, uniquely dependent on Canadian roads for its connection to the rest of the U.S., is now the pressure point in this escalating standoff. The message to Washington is clear: economic pain can go both ways, and Canada is no longer willing to simply absorb the impact. The once peaceful highway, a symbol of cross-border friendship, is now a new front line in a growing economic conflict that could affect thousands. Canadians feel a sense of national assertion and pride. Americans, meanwhile, face a costly new reality that could change the way goods move north and south. The world's longest undefended border just got a lot more complicated, with new rules and new tensions on the horizon. The era of quiet Canadian compliance is over, and a new chapter in North American relations is just beginning. The heart of the new policy? It's a bold move that signals a dramatic shift in Canada's approach to cross-border trade. Tolls on American trucks traveling through BC to Alaska. For decades, these trucks have moved freely, but now, every crossing will come at a price. The Alaska Highway, once a symbol of cooperation and shared purpose, is now a bargaining chip in a high-stakes economic standoff. BC's government can impose these tolls quickly, using them as a direct response to U.S. economic aggression. The province is moving with unusual speed and determination. Premier David Eby promises the tolls will be high enough to hurt. No token gesture here. He's making it clear that Canada won't back down. The target: time-sensitive, high-value goods vital to Alaska's economy. Perishable food, medical supplies, and essential products will all be affected. Canada is leveraging its geography. There are few alternative routes. The Alaska Highway is the lifeline, and now, it's under Canadian control. This is a sharp break from decades of open borders and easy trade. The seamless flow of goods is being replaced by uncertainty and new barriers. Canadian officials argue that cooperation has become one-sided, with U.S. tariffs harming Canadian industries. Lumber, steel, and agriculture have all taken hits. The tolls draw a clear line. Future U.S. trade actions will meet swift Canadian retaliation. The message is unmistakable. New infrastructure will be needed, but officials say it's technically feasible. Electronic tolling systems can be deployed rapidly, and adapted weigh stations are on the table, ensuring every truck pays its share and no shipment slips through unnoticed. The legal framework is in the works. Political will is driving the process. Lawmakers are united in their resolve to act. The Alaska Highway is now a strategic asset in Canada's economic defense, a powerful tool in a new era of trade disputes. The message: Canada is ready to fight back, the country is drawing a line in the sand, and it's not afraid to stand its ground. The era of one-sided concessions is over. A new chapter in North American trade relations has begun. Why now? Years of U.S. tariffs and threats, especially under President Trump, have strained the relationship. The 2025 return of U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods was the last straw. Canada realized it couldn't just react, it needed leverage. The BC toll plan is a proactive defense, not just a response. Prime Minister Trudeau and other officials have voiced deep frustration, calling U.S. tariffs self-defeating. The constant unpredictability from Washington has hardened Canadian resolve. Alaska's reliance on Canadian roads gave Ottawa a unique opportunity. This isn't an isolated incident, it's the result of years of simmering resentment. Canada's leaders now believe they must defend their economic sovereignty with real action. The tolls are the most visible symbol of this new assertiveness. The old assumptions of mutual respect have been shaken. Canada is done being the passive partner. Premier David Eby, BC's leader, is known for his strong environmental stance. For him, the tolls are about more than trade. They're about defending BC's right to set its own climate policies. Trump's administration has criticized Canada's environmental rules, but Eby sees them as essential. The tolls are a stand for both economic and environmental independence. Eby frames the conflict as a fight for Canadian sovereignty. Alongside the tolls, BC is pushing new laws to support local clean energy and reduce reliance on U.S. fuels. The message: BC won't sacrifice its climate goals for easier trade. This is a clash of ideologies: U.S. deregulation versus Canadian green policy. The Alaska highway tolls are where these worldviews collide. For Eby, it's about ensuring BC's future is decided in Victoria, not Washington. The dispute is about values as much as dollars. BC is building economic walls to protect its autonomy. The tolls are a necessary stand for the province's future. For Alaska, Canada's toll plan is a direct threat to its fragile supply chain. Most goods arrive by sea, but trucks carry the most critical, time-sensitive items. A toll isn't just a fee, it's a chokehold on Alaska's economy. Costs will rise for everything from groceries to oilfield equipment. Alaska's leaders are urging Washington to resolve the dispute before real damage is done. The state has little control over U.S. trade policy but faces the consequences firsthand. The business community fears delays, higher costs, and job losses. A political standoff thousands of miles away could spark a real economic crisis in the last frontier. BC's toll plan is just one part of a united Canadian response. Across the country, provinces are stepping up with bold measures, each contributing to a larger, coordinated effort to protect Canadian interests. Provinces and the federal government are working together to push back against U.S. tariffs. This unprecedented level of cooperation is bringing together leaders from all political backgrounds, determined to present a united front. Prime Minister Trudeau announced retaliatory tariffs on American goods, sending a clear message that Canada will not back down in the face of economic pressure. Ontario plans a surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S., targeting a vital American resource and demonstrating that Canada can leverage its own strengths in this dispute. Yukon is boycotting American products and limiting U.S. access to government contracts, showing that even smaller provinces and territories are taking meaningful action. BC is halting purchases of American goods and banning alcohol from Republican-led states in its liquor stores, making a statement that resonates across the country. These actions, big and small, form a powerful mosaic of resistance. Canadians from all walks of life are standing together, making their voices heard in creative and impactful ways. For once, provinces are setting aside rivalries to act in concert. The spirit of collaboration is stronger than ever, as leaders recognize the importance of unity in these challenging times. Canada is also working to strengthen its internal economy, breaking down trade barriers between provinces and encouraging local businesses to thrive. The goal: build a more resilient, self-reliant nation. By investing in Canadian industries and supporting homegrown talent, the country is preparing for a stronger future. The message to Washington is clear. Economic pain will be shared, and Canada will not be intimidated or divided by outside forces. Canada is no longer just defending itself, it's building a stronger future, one that is innovative, inclusive, and ready to meet any challenge. The era of Canadian unity in the face of external threats has arrived, and with it, a renewed sense of national pride and determination. As of June 18, 2025, the tolls aren't in effect, but the threat alone has changed everything. Canada is no longer the quiet neighbor, it's ready to use leverage to protect its interests. The US must now decide: escalate the conflict, or negotiate. The risk is a tit-for-tat trade war with Alaska caught in the middle, or the threat could force both sides back to the table for real diplomacy. The bigger question: is North American integration over? Canada is already shifting focus to internal trade and self-sufficiency. The economic map of the continent may be redrawn. This is a friendship under strain, one of the world's most successful partnerships now tested. Canada's bold move is a demand for respect and sovereignty. The US response will decide if this is a temporary crisis or a new era of rivalry. The world is watching as two old friends redefine their relationship.